Hey guys, I made a small guide for getting to Turtlelinks. It involves main points or main strategies I followed during my journey. I completed it pretty fast. It involves a lot of optimized gameplay, so it's not 100% for everyone, but I believe even if you don't like to optimize it as much as I do, you will still grab some points out of it. Anyway, let's get into the guide and I'm going to provide you with the information, farming spots, my choice of aspects for the current patch and everything else. Alright, let's start with our guide to turtlings. I'm just going to give you some brief information about my character before we start. I completed turtlings quite fast within 300 days, and recently I completed the wilderness trophy as well. This is also a lot of farming on top of the turtlings. Definitely, this is not for everyone. So this kind of gameplay requires a lot of optimization and you have to be focused on your goal. However, even if you are not this much focused, you can still take some pieces of this guide and apply them to your own game style. So it's up to you of how much to use of this guide. Also, this is not an absolutely beginner's guide. I will be talking about some terminologies within the video. For instance, when I say chivalry or when I say magery, I expect you to understand the basics. Uh, this is not an in-depth guide of skills and codexes or aspects or anything else. Of course, I'm going to briefly explain them. However, I expect you to have a brief knowledge about them to begin with. So I'm going to be talking about finances a lot because obviously if you don't have the finances to sustain yourself, you will get stuck with your progression. So I strongly suggest everyone to get their finances straight before starting with their journey. The worst thing that can happen is just getting stuck at a tier level and then having to farm with another tier just to be able to buy the course. It's like wasting all that XP. It's not feasible. So just get your finances straight before you start with your journey to 30 links. Again, if this is not your complete game style, if you want to just explore around, that's 100% fine. But I'm just going to explain things from my perspective and with the way I did things. You are free to apply the suitable parts to your own game style. So I'm going to start with actually a different advice than most people give, and I'm just going to suggest you join two guilds and do omni runs. So this might be a little bit scary at the beginning. I myself wasn't sure that if I was strong enough to join the Omni runs, and I kept telling them that I will join the next one because I was just not confident. But it is super easy, and Guild actually need more people to attend so that they can grow this boss. They need this boss to grow so it distributes more links. So what you have to do is you join one of these guilds, and actually you can join multiple guilds. Don't think of it as exploiting the guild because they need you. So what you can do is you can put different characters in these in multiple guilds and join their omniruns. They will always need people to grow the boss. Also, they will need people to heal and resurrect people who died during the fight. And you will also notice that top 3 people, top 5 people are dealing the 95% of the damage anyway. So the hardcore guys are doing the heavy lifting. So it doesn't matter. I mean, the other people matters for different reasons, not for damage dealing anyway. So you can either join one of these guilds or you can join multiple guilds with your different characters and attend their omni runs. For instance, you, as far as I know, they do 2 omniruns per week. Probably seen maybe 3, maybe even 4. I never played with Sin, so I don't know. However, one thing you have to be careful about is, for instance, Sin, they require all your characters, all 15 of your characters, to be in the guild. Uh, U doesn't require it, as far as I know. NW didn't require it when I was playing with them. So For instance, you can have one character in U, one character in NW, and if they are doing omnis in different times, with different schedules, you can join both of their omnis with your different characters. Each omni run pays about 250,000 gold. It's usually between 200 and 300,000, and it takes about like 40 minutes. So within like 90 minutes, almost 1.5 hours, you will have made 500,000 gold. You can also have one character in NWO, for instance, NWO and uh, you are allies. You can, if they are okay with it, you can join both of their omni runs. So that's up to you how to optimize it. But at least do it with your with one of your characters. Just by being in one of these guilds, which is doing two omni runs per week, and just by spending 90 minutes, you will have made 500,000 gold. And you can optimize it. It's a very good source of income. I will talk about harvesting briefly. That you have two options. You can do lumberjacking, which is about 70 to 100,000 gold per hour. You can do scavenging and skinning. You can go up to 200,000, even more. It requires more active gameplay. If I were you, I would go to the bonus dungeons of the week. For instance, actually let me show you in game what I'm talking about. So if you go to any city, next to the bank, you will see a banner. Let me show you which one I'm talking about. So for instance, an outpost, it is right in front of the bank. This one. If you click on this, it will say regional bonuses, region bonuses. And for instance, these dungeons, it changes every Friday. Uh, Ages keep have bonus gold loot. If you go there, you will see people leaving the gold on the mobs 100%. You can just carry them out and actually make more than people who are farming the dungeon. They are there for the experience. Most of them. They are not there for the gold. You can go to Crew Live anytime when it is not Sanctuary Dungeon. By chance, it is Sanctuary Dungeon this week. Because the mobs there give 3,000 and plus gold, and you are full in within 10 minutes. The heavy hitting guys won't even loot the mobs. So just carry the gold out alongside the leather you harvest. So you can Puma, for instance, faster respawn. People 100% will be leaving gold behind. Darkmire as well. So you can pick either one of these dungeons, especially if a dungeon has like mobs with high drops of gold value, like Cruel Hive. Aegis Keep has level 4, so it's always always going to be people leaving gold behind. You can go to Mausoleum Mouse. People will be leaving gold behind. So yeah, you can optimize it. I would personally, instead of lumberjacking, even though I have a high level lumberjack, I will do harvesting. I also enjoy it. It's quite fun because you actively play the game. So let's go back to the slides. So last thing about the finances is making three different tailors in three different accounts. I procrastinated a lot. I shouldn't have, because it's basically free money. Every couple months you will get gold links. You will either use them or sell them for 2.5 to 3 million. You will need this money. Like, if you don't want to get stuck with your progression, start with the finances. Again, like, this is the optimal way of doing it, at least according to my knowledge. Just if you get stuck, go back to harvesting or go back to scavenging, wherever. Make your money and come back. Otherwise, you are just going to be wasting time. And lastly, about the finances, sell everything. Don't hoard anything. Whatever you get, just sell them. I'm not telling you to undercut unnecessarily. Just put them in your vendor and just get rid of them. Most of the things came down in price in the last year. I'm not saying that it's going to be the same, but skill orbs, skill scrolls, except a couple specific ones, they all came down in price. So yeah, I would just sell everything. Now let's talk about skills. You can this skill template on the right side is not set on stone, so you can change it a little bit. It doesn't matter that much. However, I see new players or players with like 10, 15 links worrying too much about the min-maxing of things. So, like in real life, in the game, spending so much thought and optimizing min-maxing things is not remotely as good as leveling your aspect just one tier. So instead of worrying about it so much, spending so much money on, for instance, inscription, uh, like deep diving in those kind of stuff, you can just level up your aspect, and it is going to be a lot better. Then again, when you are at like tier 14, tier 15, when you are at like 25 turtlings, then you can start min maxing. But right now, optimize what the game offers you to optimize easily. Then you can worry about the minor things that will have a lower return of impact. So the template on the right is just as good. You can slightly change it as you level up your tier. For instance, as an arcane mage, you won't need meditation at some point when you reach the mana refund cap. But it's not going to happen so easily. So check your stats page, see what your mana refund is, and when you feel comfortable, when you realize that you don't run out of mana, then you can start reducing meditation, and then you can finally get rid of it at some point. Also, for instance, for activating the parrying codex, you only need 80 parrying. So you can change this, reduce this to 80. At some point, you totally can get rid of parrying. You don't have to have it. But I am at almost 32 links, and I still use parrying. It's amazing. Amazing. It's an amazing quality of life feature. Anyway, so as I mentioned, you can just slightly change them, but just keep your focus on upgrading your aspect levels and don't worry too much about inscription and other things. And then aspects. So there are different kinds of option, obviously, and you can play anything. But again, for optimization's purpose, I would suggest leveling up arcane aspect. So it is somewhat expensive. This is one of the more expensive aspects. That is why I suggest getting your finances straight at the beginning because you will need it. So arcane aspects has amazing tankiness. So you can tank mobs that you cannot even tank as a warrior, as a dexter. It has life sustain. It basically has life leech, and then it lets you to teleport around and farm. That we are going to be talking about in detail. So wilderness farming and teleport farming are the highest gold per hour types of farming for now, with this patch at least. It used to be similar in the last before the expansion as well, but right now it is just by far better than farming dungeons, and you need somewhat of a mage character so you can do it comfortably. You can do it with other templates as well, but this template is going to enable you to just farm wherever you want, whenever you want, and also I will give you some farming spots in the next slides. You can just alternate between them. So codexes or grimoires are also extremely important. You will be using Arcane Codex, Wizard's Grimoire, and Parrying Codex. You should have all of them ready before you start grinding because if you are following the guide, you will already have money to purchase them. Okay, let's start with Arcane Codex. It is going to be quite painful at the beginning. However, once you level up these three things, Leech, Leyline, and Drain, it's going to get easier. But again, at the beginning, you won't have mana refund chance, and your aspect weapon is going to be low, so it's going to be painful at the beginning. But you have to be resilient, you have to bear with it, and in a couple of days, or whenever you level this up, it's going to be better than any other aspect for farming. Of course, some people will say that madness is better, this is better, that is better. Okay, but all around, I believe arcane aspect is the best one for someone who is aiming for turtlings. When you are at 25 links, 20 plus links, you can use aspect weapon blood armor, aspect weapon void armor, this, that. Like, you can have the varieties. But I'm talking about an overall best aspect. You can even use arcane aspect weapon madness armor. But that is not the, you know, ultimate goal of this guide. I'm trying to give you a concept of an all-around aspect that you can use throughout your journey. Then again, after 25 links, whatever, if you want to optimize it, min max it even further, go for it. But this is going to be enough for you to reach the 30 links without changing anything at all. And it's going to be comfortable than most of the other aspects. Let's talk about Visa grammar a little bit. The most important thing here is create food. Everything else can be changed or optional, probably except max curse. And if you are below the refund chance of 65%, you will want to keep mana drain as well. Flame strike, pretty much a default upgrade as well. These three are optional. Pairing codex is straightforward. Level up shield bash and use it. Of course, once you have the points, level up other things as well. Needless to say. For links for arcane aspect, I would suggest using special aspect chance links. People will say that slayers, for instance, wilderness slaying is better. Yes, it is better, but first you need to have the mana to keep farming. If you can't farm, anything else won't work at all. So you need the mana. I will first go with spell aspect special chance. Then I will use wilderness damage. The rest is up to you. You can use spell, charge chance or whatever. But yeah, I mean, start with spell aspect special chance. That will be my advice. So I will definitely strongly suggest not doing any dungeons at all. Right now, the game is set in a way that dungeons, in terms of gold per hour, are not comparable with wilderness farming. Personally, I don't believe the game should be this way, but it is what it is. Like in the dungeons, you get ganked so much more. There is so much more competition for mobs. You have to leave behind the gold and items because otherwise you lose so much time going back and forth. It's just not feasible. So focus on wilderness farming, and I'm going to give you the spots for it as well. Like for instance, I was just doing some dungeons today and I completed my red line for red line trophy for, let me show you here, for wilderness. So I was just doing some random dungeons and I already got ganked like 3 times. I don't die 3 times in the wilderness to PKs in like 5 days. It's just ridiculous, and I can't even carry the gold with me. Anyway, it is for Owen and Lucius to worry about, but they have to do something about it, I think. Also, in order to help the new players, I made one of my houses public. So let's go to this one, and I put down recently, actually just yesterday night, quite many vendor contracts. These are for free, so please take one, uh, and you can keep it as long as you keep your vendor active. Like, I mean, if you put in goods in it, I will just not terminate it. And I intend to keep this for free as long as they don't introduce a high house tax in the server. Right now, there is no house tax, but the admins are talking about it. But yeah, even if they put a house tax, I'm just going to keep it minimal or free anyway. So I own the next house as well. Probably I will make this a vendor house too, so it's going to be a vendor mall. But yeah, so you can just come here and drop your vendor. Please take one, unless you really need a second one. And we will be talking about the farming spots here. So it's actually good if you know how to make your way around here because you will need these books. In with this purpose, actually, I'm going to show you how to use the van Witcher system to find yourself around. For instance, this you will need this for farming as well. So let's just get this out of the way. So right now, as you see, my house is located here. If you find this on Outlands, exploreoutlands.com. Let's go to the Explore Outlands. You see it is somewhere around here, right? Let's check it again. It is right down this little lake. Underneath this little lake to the east a little bit here. So if you click here on the left to the Witcher Ruin system, you will see that there are different marks with different numbers, which is actually a team member, a player who created all this cataloging system. So, which means is if we go to the Witcher rune 263 and run to the west, we will actually come to my house. We can do it uh, live, and let's demonstrate how it would work. So there are many Witcher libraries all around the world. They are free. People put them in their vendor malls so that people go there and see their vendors. The guild you join will have Witcher library for sure, but if you are looking for a public one, you can go to Cambria. Pretty much all either one of these houses around gates have one, so that people go and visit their malls. But let's go to Cambria. I know one right south of the gate. This one. So you will look for the correct corresponding number. So ours was 263. Let's go there. So my house was right around here. So if you go to the rune 263 and just run left or run west, you will be coming to my house. So here you can make copies of these farming tomes that we will be talking in the upcoming slides. And also you can place down a vendor for free. So once you make it here, you will start with the rightmost tom. This one, actually, let's go back to the slides. Okay, let's start with beginning spots or beginners spots. This is actually if you are below aspect level 7. After aspect level 7, 8, 9, you can start TP farming with harder mobs. But if you are just starting out, you will start with the light gray book on the rightmost side. Let's go back to the game, and I'm just going to show you to you in game. So here, this one, there are two spots here called Farming 2 and Inferno. So this is the easier one, Inferno. If you go there, you will be killing. Actually, let's go there together, and I'm just going to show you real time. So you can come here and just run outside. Also, if a PK chases you, you can just run back to the dungeon and use the moon gate to run away. So you will see mobs here. They are not heavily farmed, so you will see mobs around. There are some dragons. You can kill them if you feel yourself ready. There is a progressive spawn here as well. Bone collectors. But you can just run around here and kill the mobs. They will drop around like 300 to 400 gold. It will be a nice starting zone for you. Once you get more used to playing the game and level up your aspect and everything, you can start using the second farming spot that is shown on the book. It literally says farming spot 2. Here, this one. This one is visited by PKs a little more often. So this one, you can start on the right side, east side. The mobs on the left side, west side is a little bit harder, but you can manage. And yeah, that's a pretty good farming spot too. Let's go back to the slides. And once you are more familiar with your aspects and everything, and you are at least aspect level 7, you can start teleport farming. So for teleport farming, I suggest having this script. What this script does is, once you have a teleport farming rune book, it circles through all the runes. So you kill mobs at that particular zone, then you click on this macro, on this keybind, it teleports to the next spot, you kill the mobs there, so you basically circle through. But when you are first starting, you are just going to be starting two zones that doesn't require you to teleport farming. But when you get to this point, come back and get this script running. It is on Jace's website, outlands.uorazescripts.com. Just search for this and run this script. I think it contains a YouTube video within the script too, so you can just watch the YouTube video if you don't know how the scripts work. Now what you need to make a copy of the red book on the left side. It contains pretty much all the old land, old world overland spots, overland farming spots. You don't have to kill all the mobs there. Feel free to remove some of the ruins that you don't like. Some of them are not visited by PKs at all. Some of them are visited more often. And then once you are at like aspect level 9, 10, you can switch to the dark gray book. This one contains the farming spots for the new lands, for the wildlands. I actually put a couple of my favorite spots from the red book to here as well, to this one as well. And these ones will have the highest gold per hour. So you don't have to necessarily do teleport farming all the time. Sometimes I just, for instance, farm either at spot 19 or at spot 11. There are many mobs, they have a very high gold per hour, and you can just hang around, kill all the mobs, bring your whatever you need back to the house. As I mentioned earlier, dungeon farming comes nowhere close to wilderness farming. You should take advantage of it while you can. I think in the future they will either reduce the gold drops from wilderness, or they are just going to bump up the dungeon farming. So when the things change, when the conditions change, we talk them over again. But for now, this is the best method to get you to 30 links. I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted to tell you guys in this video. I might have left out some stuff, and again, I'm not claiming that this is the best guide there ever. However, this is how I got to turtle links myself. So it worked for me. It might or might not work for you. Also, as I mentioned at the beginning, you can take some parts of this guide and apply it to your own game style. But at least I would strongly suggest getting these books. I used to sell them at my vendor. I just thought it would be easier if I put them here for free and people just make a copy of it. Get these books. They will help you tremendously with your wilderness farming. And of course, it's up to you to do dungeons, but they've come nowhere close to wilderness farming. You will just compare it yourself and you will see the difference. Yeah, so I got tired of talking anyway, so I'm just going to finish the video here. If you have any questions or anything, let me know in the comments.